Good morning, Year 5, and welcome to your English lesson for today. So we're going to be looking at how to use technical vocabulary in a short report. Okay, so we're going to be book detectives. So we're going to be looking at a new book just for today, and it is called Hurricane. Now you might notice it's by the same author that wrote the book Tuesday, and it's written by David Winsner. So what I would like you to think about, what type of book genre do you think this is? What do you think the story might be about? Are there any clues in your picture, the front cover, to support your answer? Who could the characters on the front page be? What is their relationship with each other? So I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like you to jot down your answers to those questions. Okay, so most likely this book is going to be a fiction book. Okay, fiction books. This is going to be a story-based book, okay? Now, if I look at the clue of the title Hurricane, and I have a look at what's happening on the picture, the children and the cat are stuck inside. I can see lashings of rain. I can see leaves and twigs that have become detached, suggesting it's quite windy. I think this book could be to do with a hurricane or something to do with some very bad weather. So those are the clues, looking at question 3, that have helped me come to that conclusion for my answer. Now, the characters on the front cover, they could be friends, they could be brothers, they could be cousins. One way or another, I believe they know each other. They could potentially live with each other because they're in the same house, but equally they could be friends, and one of them could be staying for a sleepover. It could be one or the other, okay? So in terms of their relationship with each other, it could be a guess, but I'm assuming also that cat belongs to somebody and it is somebody's pet. So what I would like to do is I would like you to have a go at reading the story. Now I've sent the pictures of the book home to you. I have also attached a link so that you can have a watch of a video online. Equally, you can go onto YouTube and you can type in the name of the book and the author and you can listen to a video version of someone reading this. So I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like to have a read of the book and then come back and we'll start our lesson. Okay, welcome back. So we're going to do a little bit of our talk partner work. If you are with somebody at school, then you can have a talk with your partner. If you might have somebody at home that's helping you that you can have a chat with, or even if you just have a think about these questions on your own. Okay, so do you have any likes or dislikes about the book? Is there anything that you really enjoyed about it? Anything that you learned from it? Something you maybe didn't like about the book? Are there any puzzles within the story? So anything that makes you think a little bit more? What questions might you have after reading the book? What are the similarities and differences between the hurricane story and Tuesday? So I'm not going to go through any answer to those, but I'd just like you to have a chat with your partner, have a think on your own and jot down some ideas to answer those questions. Okay, so today we are going to be focusing on one of our grammar skills of looking at cohesion. So what makes something cohesive? So a cohesive text flows very smoothly. It will make links between different ideas. And it makes it very clear how meanings fit together within a paragraph. So when the text has cohesion, it means that it fits together as a unit of meaning. So it flows nicely, the story is easy to follow, and it links between each sentence. So it's not a list of random sentences of something did this, then something did that, and then it was like this, and then this happened, and then that happened. It builds each sentence to flow to build a nice, strong, cohesive paragraph of writing. Okay, so let's consider this picture and consider our cohesive devices. So cohesive devices are like road signs, okay? So they're instructions, they are units of things to follow that keep the text running smoothly, and it makes it very clear which direction the text is taking the reader in and how the different parts are then linked as the story begins to build. So I would like you to compare the paragraphs that I'm going to show you in a minute, okay? So the first paragraph I'm going to show you is, well, I'll show you both of them, seeing as I've clicked on the screen now. So if you have a look at the bottom one, David fiercely led his brother. David and his brother stalked the mighty leopard. The leopard was strong and dangerous. David and his brother perched on golden saddles. The elephant strode through the mountains. David and his brother finished. David and his brother sailed the 7 seas. Now, I can already hear you all sat there thinking, what on earth is Miss Humphrey reading? Like, does she know that that's a really rubbish paragraph? Okay. So I gave it a go and I thought, well, let's try and make this a bit better. So let's look at the top paragraph. David fearlessly led his brother into the very heart of the jungle. First, they stalked the mighty leopard, even though it was strong and dangerous. Then they perched on the golden saddles atop mighty elephants as they strode through the mountains. When they had finished, they sailed the 7 seas. So I'd like you to pause the video and have a think. What do you notice between those two paragraphs, and which one of those paragraphs is the most cohesive? Okay, so the most cohesive paragraph is going to be the first one. And as you can see, some of the sentences in the bottom paragraph, I've just joined together with conjunctions. Very simple technique to be able to build those sentences together. I've also added additional information. So let's explore it in a little bit more detail. So the very first paragraph, the cohesive devices have been linked together to make it a lot more smooth and clear in comparison to the second paragraph, which was a lot more repetitive and was less clear, as well as using repetitive pronouns and not using any form of conjunctions or fronted adverbials to build and glue those sentences together. So let's compare. So we have into the very heart of the jungle, atop mighty elephants, the seven seas. So I've added additional information. I have first, then, so I've got my fronted adverbials, my time fronted adverbials, and I changed my pronouns. There were so many pronouns in that second paragraph that were unnecessary. So first, they stalked it. Even though the leopard, rather than the leopard, I said it was very strong and dangerous. Then they perched on a golden cell. I'm not repeating names throughout my paragraph. So let's look at what skills I actually included. So I included additional pronouns, I had place adverbials as well as time adverbials, and I used conjunctions. Okay, so here you can see where I've used those skills to build on that paragraph to make it more cohesive. Now, I'd like you to pause the video. Can you think of any other examples in each of these categories that I could have added into the gaps where I've added those additional information? So I want you to pause the video and have a go at rewriting this paragraph on the screen, but changing the information that's in the different colours, using the key on top to help you, and see if you can come up with some different pronouns, place adverbials, time adverbials, and conjunctions to fit this paragraph. Okay, so those are your sentences. Keep those sentences with you because they might come in handy to help you with the task that you're going to do today and tomorrow. So here is some information about the hurricane. So this is more a factual based report that links to the story. So here we have all the information about this hurricane. So what I would like to do is I'd like to pause the screen and I'd like you to read through the information in front of you. And I'd like to consider these two questions. What did we learn from this report that wasn't included in our story? And what did we actually learn from this story that the information on the screen doesn't give you? So I'd like to pause the video and just have a look at some comparisons and look at some of the similarities and differences between the two. Okay, so here we can see we've actually got the name of the hurricane. So we know that the hurricane's called Michael. We have some dates, so we have some more factual information. Now, that wasn't described in our story. What was described was more the emotions and experiences that one of the families went through whilst this hurricane was happening. But here we have a general report using more factual based information. We have the number of fatalities, how much it costed, in terms of the damages and repairs that needed to be done. We even have the areas that were affected as well. Now, some of the similar information was the maximum wind speed. So we were given information in both the story and in this report at how fast those winds were whipping. But in the story, we had additional information because we had the destruction in the aftermath of what the yard looked like for the two boys in our story. So here we have more factual information here. This is what we call a news report, and this shows a weather report. So this actually shows the hurricane in motion. Now, a bit like lots of things we look at that have colour codes to them, anything here that's in the red is when we are where we are at the deepest point of the hurricane. So anything within that red and yellow area that hits landfall is going to be the places worst affected as it travels across the country. So even this picture here shows us the direction and the wind speeds of where this hurricane is travelling to. So we can gain more factual information from this report, but we can gain more emotional understanding of some of the experiences people went through when we look at the storybook. So your task for today, you have two tasks to be having a look at. I need to move my face so you can see. There we go, pop me there. So the first task that you need to have a look at is the sheet that's been sent home to you, and it is called the hurricane quotes. Now you'll need a copy of the story in front of you to be able to help you with these tasks. So what I would like to think is I'd like to consider these 5 characters in our story. So here we have Dad and we have Mum. We have the two little boys, so you'll need to work out which one of those is David and which one of those is George by reading back through the story. And we have the man here with the chainsaw who chops up the elm tree. So think about who the different characters are and identify them and what their role is in the story. You need to think about what they might be saying at different points in time. Might want to also consider how they're feeling. Now, as a parent, you might need to think about how a parent might feel with two young children, what they're expected to do in terms of support. So although adults sometimes also feel scared, when they're in a position of authority or responsibility, they have to consider the emotions of those children instead. So if we were to be put in a situation where we were stuck in a hurricane at school, I might be terrified. But because you guys might be more scared, it's my responsibility to make you feel okay and to support and help you to keep you safe. So I might have to think about what I might have to say to be able to support you as children. So, for example, they might actually have to be brave to show the boys there's nothing to be scared about. So when the boys says they're scared or they might be worried about something, you need to think of what an appropriate response might be. Now, you don't necessarily have to include speech in this, but I just want you to write down a couple of quotes of what you think that character might be saying. Once you've done that, your second task is you need to have a look at some of the words and abbreviations that we've come across in both the story and looking at the information slides about Hurricane Michael. So there's two different sections for you to have a go at. Now you'll need a dictionary or the internet, so you can use Google to support you. If you are at school, I expect you to use a dictionary. If you have a dictionary at home, that'd be fantastic. I know Sophia, for her English task last week, rather than having a look on the internet, she went and she put some really good effort into using her dictionary to work out some of her vocab words, and she really persevered because using a dictionary is not easy. So if you do have a dictionary at home, challenge yourself to use a dictionary first to support you with this task. So let's go through what the task is. So first of all, we need to think about what is an abbreviation, because your first task here is you need to explain what they might mean. So an abbreviation is what we have as a group of letters or symbols that's short for something else. So rather than writing 3 or 4 words to describe something, we'd abbreviate it by using the first letter of each word. So an abbreviation is a shorter symbols. So you might need to use the internet to be able to at least work out those 4, because I don't think you'll find those in the dictionary. The next thing you need to do, let me move my face again. I'll pop myself there. Research and find the definition of the words, but you need to remember to write the definitions in context of what a hurricane might be. So if I'm looking at a category of something, I might put my socks into different categories. I might have work socks, I might have comfy socks, I might have my winter socks, and I might have my sports socks. If I was to put things into those type of categories, that wouldn't make sense when talking about a hurricane. So you need to make sure that you can have a look at what they might mean when we use them when we're talking about a hurricane, okay? So I would like to have a go at those. And then once you've done that, I'd like you to come back and I've got a little plenary activity I'd like you to do. Okay, so we are going to have a quick watch of this video, okay? And on your sheets where you've written your quotes for your characters, I'd like you to put a star next to the 2 quotes that you'd like to pick and 4 or 5 pieces of vocabulary that you have looked at that you might want to include in your report. So I'm just going to show you this very short clip of what a visual report might be if we were to see it on the news.
The destructive power of the superstorm, unleashed after dark as Sandy made landfall. The flooding was instant, the scale shocking. The storm arrived with the high tide in New York Harbor, creating a surge of nearly 14 feet. Subways and tunnels flooded. The water engulfed the construction site at Ground Zero. Lower Manhattan was plunged into darkness. Electricity generators exploded in spectacular fashion.
What's going on? I don't know what's going on. It's not hurricane.
Okay, so that's just a very short video clip of Hurricane Sandy, which hit in the United States of America. I think we're talking possibly nearly on 10, 20 years ago. So that's just an example for you to have a look at. So have a go at those activities and then have a go at putting some stars next to 2 quotes from 4 or 5 pieces of vocabulary, and make sure you keep that for our next English lesson. Okay, good luck, you 5.